What is up, everyone, and welcome back to another SlabStox Monday YouTube Live here at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Super excited for today's show because this is the Monday after the first Sunday of the NFL season. Now, Nate nor I are major football connoisseurs, but I would say, Nate, that we love casually looking at the market and seeing the shift that's going on into the season, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, define football connoisseur.
Someone who reads a million things, understands it like you understand baseball, and actively participates in the football card market.
Okay. Yeah, I don't do that. I do enjoy watching the games. I enjoy
Yes.
following along. I enjoy reading a lot of articles about football. But no, I don't participate in the football
Yeah,
card
I mean
market.
from a card perspective mostly. You know what I'm saying? Of all the football cards that are out there in existence, the ones I'd most be interested in to have in a collection would be like later 2000 tops and maybe some of the early Panini stuff, depending if it's immaculate RPAs. And I don't really have many football cards at all. Maybe some Aaron Rodgers, like an Aaron Rodgers rookie and stuff, and maybe a couple other very smaller things. We got like a Rollin Jones Contenders auto selling next week or something. Chris Godwin, just some smaller flip quest items we picked up throughout the PWCC weekly auction. But we got some people joining here. Big John, Manny, and Matthew. Welcome to have, or glad to have you all on the show tonight. And the big topic about tonight is the market too volatile? And we will be talking about this from like a football lens, but also from like a greater card market lens too. It's not just football cards. So if you are a non-football fan or any other sport fan, be sure to stick around because you'll see some cards that are moving in the football card market. And then also we'll be talking about how this might affect the other sports as the seasons start to come up here pretty soon. So this is episode 99. I want to point out also.
Ooh.
Pretty cool. Episode 99, episode 100 will be next week, Monday. So be sure to come to the 100th episode. We might need to do something special for next week's episode. Maybe a little giveaway in there live on Monday, something like that. Be sure to come next week, though, to see what happens. The very first thing that we've got to talk about, of course, is from last night's PWCC weekly auction. It was a wild one. Made the podium for today. Now there was a Patrick Mahomes card that sold for more than the Davis Mills, but from like a podium perspective and the kind of exciting stuff to look at here, went with this Davis Mills #1 here. This is a 2021 National Treasures RPA of 10 BGS9 that sold for $21,000. More than a Tom Brady Contenders auto, even though it's authentic, the grade and not like a numerical grade. It has a 9 auto on the Brady, which is pretty nice. And it's sold for $3,000 more. Nate, do you know how many Davis Mills cards are out there in existence?
Well, if it's the same amount as Trevor Lawrence, there's 1,200 one-on-ones.
I also heard that there's over 1,000 Justin Herbert one-of-ones. I'm not necessarily completely sure on print runs of 2,000 contenders. I'd be surprised if there was even more contenders autos than there were of just the one-of-ones of Davis Mills, which is crazy. It's absolutely nuts to see that thing sell for $21,000. Now, keep in mind, hype does drive the market. You see a lot of times, random player here or there sell for a lot. And then next thing you know, 2 years later, the guy's doing amazing and maybe it sells for more. Now, the case here is going to be pretty small odds, I think, just in my opinion. And the rest of the Instagram audience agrees with that, as 80% of the people voted the Tom Brady card as the best bang for the buck. And then 15% voted for a Zion 2019 Panini 1-1 Gold 10 BGS 9.5, which I love that card. I do think that's Zion's most important non-auto ever made. Now, yes, that is going to sell for a lot less than a 2019 Prism Gold out of 10. If it were me, I'd rather have the 1-1. Amazing image. It's on thicker card stock. It's just a rarer release, in my opinion, and it's an awesome card. What's up, Chris? Chris, you raced home to catch this live? Chris, we appreciate you. That's awesome. Michael Ham says Brady all day, and Evan says that is sheer stupidity. And then Tim says, will Albert Pujols' cards come back down or stay up after he retires? Tim, I do have to say, while Albert Pujols is an all-time great, he might get 700 home runs, and it's hard to predict what will happen if he does hit 700 home runs. It's really impossible to say what's going to happen with his cards, but in my opinion, I would be surprised if the cards maintain this amount for the next 2 years, and that's say after the season ends. If he hits 700 home runs, it's going to be possible to guess what those things are going to be selling for. But hype does stay around, not for forever. And we'll see what happens.
Hey, real quick question for you.
Yeah.
Who had the best passer rating amongst 2021 rookie quarterbacks yesterday?
Yesterday?
Yeah.
Probably Davis Mills.
It was.
Yeah, I looked.
By a pretty significant margin. He was at 98. I think Mac Jones was second closest at 87. Maybe it was Justin Fields in the high 80s. But Trevor Lawrence was 75. Trey Lance was 50. I'm not by any means justifying that price because it's absurd, but it is kind of fun to be like, hey, for one day, he was in fact the best 2021 rookie quarterback.
I mean, there's some people who are saying based off of last season that he is one of the best 2021 rookie quarterbacks. Just doesn't have the hype or maybe like top end potential.
Yeah.
Michael said, would you rather have a Brady Contenders auto or BGS 9.5 2011 Trout Bowman Chrome auto for the long term? Funny thing is, I was just thinking like, oh, $18,000 is probably similar to the 9.5 Trout. I think I'd rather have the Brady. Very, very proven, full career. Not that Trout isn't super proven and isn't super talented, but the rings speak for itself, and it's also a 2,000-year printed card.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, Nate.
What if Trout hits a home run in every game he plays for the rest of his career?
Is he on a 7-game streak right now or 6?
6. He didn't play yesterday.
Okay, so he still is on active streak then.
Yep.
So it's possible.
It's possible.
Wouldn't that be something? 162 home runs next season. And then our 1 up, 1 down, a fun little new post template here, looking pretty good, I gotta say. Jason Tatum 2017 Noir Spotlight rookie auto sold for $2,100. It's a 52% increase in the last 4 months from the previous sale in the PWCC weekly auction. And then Jordan Love cards. This is the Optic Contenders Purple Pulsar number 21 BGS 9.5 auto, sold for $540. That's the lowest that grade has ever sold for, and that's a huge drop since February when people, it was right around after the Packers lost, didn't make the Super Bowl. Oh, Rodgers is going somewhere else. Jordan Love's going to be the starter. I'm sure someone's super excited to pay like $1,300 for this card, but now it's down to $540. And we asked the question: will Jordan Love cards ever bounce back in the future? 80% voted no in the early voting, I have to say, which is a little surprising, honestly. If this is the lowest that this card's ever sold for, I gotta think. Now, I mean, it's risky. Don't get me wrong. We don't own any Jordan Love cards either. It's risky, but if the guy at least gets named a starter on a different team or traded, that will instantly move the market, as we saw with Jimmy Garoppolo like years back.
Real quick, did you watch the end of the game, right?
I actually turned it off before he went back in. I saw he's 4 for 5 though.
It was pretty miserable, but number one, the Vikings were playing weak defense, but the passes were crisp. They had some heat on them. It looked a lot better. His throws looked a lot better than they did last year when he got random time. So I'm not taking anything from 4 throws against a somewhat prevent defense at the end of the game, outside of the fact that the throws just looked good.
Also,
and
the
so
Packers
I have small amount of hope.
The Packers did say after the preseason that he's like leaps and bounds better than he was last year. Not to say the preseason also shows you everything, but like if there's a coaching staff and upper management that feels that way, they're a lot better. I feel like that they're at least better in some aspect. Matthew said, did you guys invest more into Devin Duvernay? Had a great game yesterday. I was like, when do we invest in Devin Duvernay? But we did buy 2 2020 Prism White Sparkle rookie PSA 9s on the PWCC weekly auction like 6 months back. One of them we gave away. The other one I took to VCon and I traded it into a Serena Williams rookie dual jersey and also into a fake Mike Trout auto.
Devin Duvernay, Aaron, did you? Well, I put him on this post, so never mind. We'll cover him later.
Yeah, I did see that. Nice job there. And then we've got a little bit of deal action going on under $100 or right at $100 deals on last night's weekly auction. Got to recommend, every single Sunday night, we are live on YouTube, 9:45 p.m. Eastern time, hunting some deals. And if you do take the time to look for those under $100 cards, oftentimes it can pay off. As experienced here with some of these different cards of, Lewandowski and Taysom Hill. The Taysom Hill was a nice deal. Max Verstappen there. And Gary Trent Jr., that's a pink out of 42, I think. Pretty nice little deal there. So make sure to join our Sunday YouTube lives if you can. Great time. Give away some cards. And this upcoming Sunday, we're giving away a card that's worth around $300. We don't know what it is yet. We're going to be giving it away at the end of the show on Sunday because we had some awesome scores last night on our Flip Quest episode. Super excited. And I can't wait to talk about this in the future for sure. All right, now for the content for today's stream. Matthew won the giveaway for the Duvernay. No wonder why you remember. That's funny. Have you sold it yet? And then also Joel says, I couldn't make it to the whole show last night. Who did you buy that was the big card? It was Mr. Erling Haaland. We actually got 3 on-card autographs of his from Topps Chrome Transcended, so pretty psyched about that.
If he keeps playing the way he does, he might get served.
He might get served while he's not British, but he's playing England.
You don't have to be British to be a become knighted. I don't think.
Color me someone who didn't really know that before, but now I do.
I'm not 100% sure on that, but I thought that was the case.
Well, let me look this up. Is Alex Ferguson British? Alex Ferguson is, yeah, he's British. Because I know Sir Alex Ferguson, I know Sir Lewis Hamilton. That's about as far as my Sir knowledge goes to sports figures in football and F1. So, but on to the football content for today, the American football content. Hope everyone is excited for this because we're going to be talking about the dips, the ups, all that stuff from yesterday's week
Let's
one.
have some real nice overreactions to one game. That's all I want to do.
Exactly. Overreaction Monday is what this is, but overreaction Monday after week one. So take all of this with a grain of salt, knowing that this is 1 week of stats. This is 1 week of card performances. This is 1 week where most of the stuff I pulled, at least data wise, is auctions that were ending last night after the games. To where if there's anything that dissuades someone from bidding, it can really hurt the cards fast.
Also, we haven't watched Russell Wilson lose to the Seahawks yet. So
true, we haven't. We will see though. But example here for what I was just talking about, this Joe Burrow 2020 Prism Light Blue rookie PSA 10 dropped a lot after his 5 turnovers yesterday, 4 interceptions. This is $900 the last sale. It sold on auction on eBay, and 2 weeks before that, it sold for like $1,325, around $1,100 to $1,200 before that, even up to $1,600 before that. Now, this card is a very, very extreme example. Okay, I'm showing this here, but this does not mean that Joe Burrow's overall market's down 40%. But in the last month, Card Ladder's player index of Joe Burrow does point out that it's down 15% in the last month alone. Now, I want you all to drop comments into here right now. Do you think this Joe Burrow sale going down to $900 and other cards are following suit in some fashion? Do you think this is more of a factor of an overreaction, and Joe Burrow's card should be more valuable, but it's an overreaction to his performance yesterday? Or do you think that the preseason prices were just too much? Like, do you think that preseason hype is just kind of out of this world for football? It happens a bit in basketball. It happens in baseball too, I have to say, with spring training coming. But do you think that this whole football market changes right now? Do you think it's a bigger factor like, oh man, Joe Burrow, I'm not really confident in Joe Burrow? Or is it like, these prices were just too much to begin with, no matter who it is, no matter what the performances are, it was going to drop anyways. And that can be seen a lot of the time. Now, I do have to flip to the next slide and point out, now this graph is as of a few days ago. Nate, we didn't see nothing here. I'm just going to keep rolling. This graph is as a few days ago. 2018 Optic PSA 10 base of Josh Allen. It hit up to 625. It was selling around 600 on average, and like 10 sales happened after his Thursday night game. People pretty excited about Josh Allen. And I do feel like of all the quarterbacks that increased in price coming into the season, there's going to be like 1 or 2 that make it out alive. And right now, and that's not counting Patrick Mahomes, because his cards did not really increase going into the season. They pretty much run on a decrease as everyone is trying to find the next big thing. I feel like it's kind of the 2, Nate, that were 1, the most valuable, and 2, probably the surest things. Who are they?
Josh Allen.
And he played well yesterday.
Oh, Justin Herbert.
Yeah. So Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, most likely I feel like are going to be those people. And also, I did not. That doesn't mean it's going to hold the whole season. I didn't get it in here, and I completely forgot to put the image in here. But the Justin Herbert NT RPA logo shield, the NFL Shield 1 of 1, sold for $1.8 million on Saturday night. That pretty much marks the most expensive modern card ever, not named LeBron, Mahomes, or Brady. And that is just an absolutely incredible sale for a card that's not associated with any event or game or premiere photo shoot. I don't know, everyone's got their thoughts on that, but I wanted to make sure that obviously we're covering more of the cards that relate to all your buying and selling probably. What's up, Hank?
Real quick, 2 things. 1, Joel, Tom, it was in jest. I actually I think Russell Wilson could walk away with an MVP this year with that fight, with that Broncos offense. So I am excited to watch him play in Denver and get away from Pete Carroll. Number 2, Aaron, real quick guess on how many times my computer kicks me out of this thing.
Let's go with 3. We're gonna go with 3.
All right, we'll see.
If Nate flashes in, flashes out, we got some technical issues going on here. The OBS. We'll see what happens the rest of the stream. All right, Nate, what is the first player you dropped in here to highlight?
Yeah, so unfortunately, much to my chagrin, Justin Jefferson is the first player that I put into this slideshow, and I hate to say it, that was Justin Jefferson was the one fear going up against the Vikings. It's, can you stop arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL, at least one of the top four, however you want to rate Cooper Kupp, Jefferson, Chase, and Devontae. You could probably rank them 1, 2, 3, 4 different ways, depending on the week. That being said, he was amazing yesterday. I believe I heard it was the most yards receiving in his career. 9 for 11, 184 yards, a 20-yard average, and 2 touchdowns. Obliterated us. And, it's somewhat frustrating as a Packer fan. You say to yourself, why isn't Jared just completely shadowing him the entire game? And then they brought it up during the game that was kind of interesting. I had never thought about this. It's like if they're moving Justin Jefferson across the line in motion before the snap and Jared has to follow him all the way along, then your other cornerbacks also have to move around to cover whoever Jared was across from, and everyone's moving on the defensive side, and then you get other matchups, nightmare matchups. So it's tough. It was a tough game yesterday for the Packers all around. If Christian Watson catches that ball, I do think it's a different game just from a emotional standpoint.
Definitely. Nate's got his 2020 select RPA of 199 here, selling for $111 on July 15th. So each player that we're going to be talking about, we're going to talk about before yesterday's game and then after yesterday's game. So that's sold for 111, and then after the game, Nate, what happened here?
Somebody got trigger happy and bought the best offer for 225. So, sometimes it just takes a click of a mouse to increase the market pretty substantially.
And that's the risk when it comes to football and a 17-game season, is that every single game matters a lot. Every single game adjusts prices a lot. And if you try to time selling and you try to go auction and a player has a poor game, the Joe Burrow is the first example we see of an auction really not working out. Man, Nate, imagine having $1,000 Joe Burrow card ending last night at auction. You see 5 turnovers.
Yeah, that's brutal.
I
don't know. I'm sure somebody has this stat, but I wonder if there's ever been a quarterback that played in the Super Bowl year previous that started the next season so poorly.
I don't know. It's an interesting thought. Definitely.
He lost to Mitchell Trubisky.
It's pretty sad when he put in
4 picks and a fumble yesterday.
Yep. I know. All right, what do we got next?
What's his actual name? McAvoy or McCorkle? I think it might be McCorkle. Have you ever heard
Michael
that?
McCorkle Jones.
You looked it up?
Dude, it's Michael McCorkle Jones. You were not wrong. I thought that was just a complete random name.
McCorkle. So McCorkle Jones over here. His Patriots, Bill Belichick and the Patriots go in facing a rookie coach, and they lose 20-7. Mac Jones, the rest of the team, not looking great. Matt Patricia, defensive coach, is the offensive coordinator somehow. I don't know. I don't understand that in the slightest. What I do understand is that a lot of people, including me, thought Mac Jones might be valuable because of Bill Belichick. But if Bill Belichick can't, obviously they're good last year. You have to see what he does this year. Sophomore slump is a thing in sports. But I should actually pull up his stats real quick so I can rattle them off. Not good when you're going up against a young upstart team like the Dolphins week 1 and you lose 20-7. Putting up a measly 7 points is pretty terrible. 21 for 30, 213 yards, a touchdown, a pick, 87 QBR. The leading receiver had 55 yards for the Patriots. The leading rusher had 48. Just atrocious through and through.
I love this one. Matthew says Mac Jones' value was way too high before the season. One game last year, he only threw 3 times. I totally remember that. That was ridiculously crazy.
Was that a playoff game?
It was a bad weather game. I think it was towards the end of the regular season when they were on that winning streak, and they won 6 in a row.
Was that against the Bills?
Yeah, it was against the Bills, I think. But after the game yesterday, his 2021 Prism rookie Red Wave auto sold for that's of 149 PS9, sold for 1,075. Very similar to what's sold for August 26th. So no real movement there.
Yeah.
Maybe more to be seen, but honestly, a little surprised it didn't sell for way lower.
I was kind of surprised too. It's I don't know. I think for me personally, Mac Jones's value was tied to Bill Belichick,
Mm-hmm.
and it will be interesting to see what happens there.
So Trevor Lawrence, we have up next, and Nate, maybe I have to look up his stats just to see, exactly his performance. But I, I, s- I know that he was like one of the highest QB prospects, highest ranked QB prospects since Andrew Luck, and pretty much crowned that from the time he was at Clemson. But the situation just seems so poor, and they were actually pretty close to winning yesterday's game. But I still saw him making some pretty questionable
Yesterday's game
decisions.
against the Commanders with Carson Wentz as their QB,
What did
and
I say?
no Chase Young playing.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Like, but it was I saw some questionable decisions still. He seemed to have thrown like a ton of picks last year, I saw also.
He did. He either did set the record for picks from Peyton Manning or he came very close. I
Yeah.
don't remember which. But Trevor Lawrence was 24 for 42. Nice little what is that? Alliteration, same forwards and backwards. Not alliteration. Palindrome?
Yeah.
Palindrome. Same forwards and backwards. 57% passing, 275 yards, a touchdown, a pick, 75 QBR. The one bright spot, Christian Kirk, 6 for 12, 117 yards.
Yeah. No, I mean
And yards
I got
after the
that guy.
catch.
I
Get
have
this.
him. What?
Sorry.
I was
What's
just
that?
say I have him in both of my fantasy teams.
Oh, nice. Yards after the catch, 102 out of his
Ooh.
117.
So Trevor Lawrence was basically throwing it 1 yard down the field.
I mean,
I'm just messing.
we'll see.
But his mosaic rookie stained glass here, super short print, 490 on September 2nd and only 300 on September 12th. I think you're gonna
And
see this. What?
sorry. You say what you're gonna say, and I was gonna bring up Joseph's comment.
Oh, I was just gonna say I think you're gonna see this quite a bit going forward. Cards that are selling super hot preseason, selling not so hot after the season starts. Even if like the Jags win that game, I imagine this would not have sold for as much as it did preseason.
Yeah. Joseph brings up a good point. He says, keep in mind, this is his first year of actual coaching. The situation he was in with Urban Meyer last year was atrocious. And most people, unless you're Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur, 3 years ago, getting off to a hot start, or Kirk Cousins and I can't remember the Vikings new coach name now.
Kevin O'Connell.
Kevin O'Connell, thank you. A lot of times it takes a little bit of time to get into a new system and be successful. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Jaguars are one of the worst teams in the league and then hit their stride in a new system year 2, year 3.
Yeah, and I'd recommend if you are looking, at Trevor Lawrence cards just from a pure market dynamic standpoint, it's like cards are super hot coming into the season. If they have a pretty poor year and he has a poor statistical year again, but you believe in his talent, and you believe that the Jaguars get like the second year under their belt, like Nate said, might not be a bad idea to look.
Also,
prices drop a lot.
What the Bengals did, right? Drafting Jamar Chase a year after drafting a quarterback. What the Dolphins did with Waddle. There's no saying that the Jaguars don't have a top pick next year and grab the best wide receiver in the draft, and all of a sudden it's go time.
Definitely. Patrick says Aaron talking about Kirk on his fantasy team reminds me of how Nate would talk about his fantasy basketball team last year. He won a lot until Bradley Beal and Chris Paul got injured and started to be terrible. So keep in mind, everyone, brace yourselves. In about 1.5 months, you have to start to listen to Nate talk about his fantasy basketball stream at least once per SlabStox Live or Flip Quest.
I don't think I talked about it that much until all of my players got injured. Jared Allen, gone. Chris Paul, gone. Bradley Beal, gone. Brandon Ingram, gone. It was brutal.
Absolutely. Speaking of gone, Gabriel says Nate's cough is gone. It does sound a lot better today. Still, just a little bit there, but
thank you. I haven't gone outside to breathe in the smoke.
There you go. All right. TJ Watt, man, pectoral tear most likely. I saw it live. I saw him grab right for the pec area. And I said, oh no, that man just tore his pec. So we will see what happens. He's getting a second opinion. Very sad to see, given how amazing he was yesterday. He was dominating that Bengals offensive line no matter where he lined up, and was very excited to watch the season again with him. I really hope it's not as bad as it seems. But his 2017 select rookie, he had for stats wise, I know he had an interception on Joe Burrow at the line of scrimmage. I'm sure he had multiple tackles for a loss. I saw 2 and some sacks. But his 2017 select Prism Auto, Blue Prism Auto 49 sold for $290 as a PSA 9 back on July 16th. And then yesterday, it's a raw, so it's not an exact 1-to-1 comparison, but so far 180. I don't know if that was a buy the low after the injury potentially, where someone just accepted a lower offer, but still that is $110 off. I'm not exactly sure if the PSA 9 would make up all that 110.
Yeah, just a tough scene for quite possibly the best defensive player in the NFL. Like the similarities between him and JJ Watt are unfortunate.
Chris said Anthony Edwards fire sale, already seeing people dumping his cards based on the weekend. So when you say based on the weekend, Chris, do you mean like, oh, what's happening to these players once they start playing in the season? Because we're going to talk about that later in the episode, but let me know your thoughts. All right, 2020 downers DeAndre Swift, downtown rookie. Now, Nate, what did DeAndre Swift do yesterday?
So DeAndre Swift kind of finally building on that promise of being a early second round pick last year. He had 15 attempts for 144 yards and a touchdown, and he also added on 3 catches for 31 yards. So, 175 yards total and a touchdown on only 18 touches. That's pretty good.
Pretty good indeed. 182 for his downrush downtown August 17th, and then 200, a little increase, very marginal. Someone was looking to spend $13 more there. Also, Chris, I did see something like hit Twitter, but I didn't watch it yet, but that's definitely not good. He says his anti-gay comments made by Edwards video is circulating. Haven't seen anything on that, but definitely not a good situation at all, and don't support that, obviously. And hopefully it maybe wasn't what it seems. I don't know. I'd have to watch a video and find out. But dang. Did you guys end up winning one of the 1-on-1 TJ Hawkinsons last night? Hawkinsons.
We did not.
Hey, of any of them, what were you thinking would be the better one to grab? Obsidian?
The cheapest one.
Oh my gosh, so the XR. I love it. Bazooka Tom, good news. You two can still receive an honorary knighthood if you aren't under the British monarch's empire. Wow. I can't wait to get knighted as sir once I make the round to every single Premier League stadium that was ever in the Premier League. I'm just kidding.
Sweet.
Oh, that'd be pretty cool.
I wasn't wrong. Try it out, Aaron. Just say Sir Nathan Rodabaugh, just to see how it feels.
I'm not saying that. There's no way. I will never call you that. Gabriel, how about Max winning on yellow flag? Absolute thumbs down. Terrible. Swift only issue is health. Online looks improved. Yeah, I think he's hurt a lot last year, so hopefully he stays healthy.
Yeah.
Devin Duvernay, 2020 Mosaic Black Gold Choice out of 8 PSA 10 was a $90 card back on April 16th, but didn't he have 2 touchdowns yesterday, Nate?
Devin Duvernay, yeah, 55 yards and 2 touchdowns.
How many yards?
55, I believe.
Oh, I got you. I saw him catch a nice over-the-top pass from Lamar Jackson. Mm-hmm. It's pretty nice. And after the game, 160 on a best offer. Yeah. The exact same one. That actually makes me question if that card was even ever sold in the first place.
Dude, that's April 16th, bro. That's a long time ago.
Look at the title and look at the card image. Oops.
That's fair. Questionable.
Yeah, definitely a little questionable. Either way, 160 yesterday on a best offer, it looks like.
Either way, the Ravens are going to need one of their young Bateman or Duvernays to step up. So, invest in a guy who's cheap and he becomes the number 1 wide receiver on his team, and somebody has to get 1,000 yards there.
Yep.
Outside of Mark Andrews.
I agree. And then Joseph says J.K. Dobbins returning a couple weeks might be bad for both players. Well, you never know how spraying the ball around running wise versus passing wise adjusted, but I imagine more touches for Dobbins might adjust it. And then while we're on the subject of the Ravens, thoughts on Lamar's contract situation on his card values. Interesting. Normally, a big contract definitely gets people jazzed up. So if he took like a $200 million extension, it's kind of like a huge hype on
Did
social
you see
media.
the offer?
Well, oh, it was 50% guaranteed.
Well, it was like 291 million over 5 years.
Yeah.
And I think 113, 130, something like that, guaranteed. And he turned it down because he wants full guarantees, like Deshaun Watson got. The problem is only Deshaun Watson got full guarantees. Russell Wilson signed a contract after him, did not get a full guarantee, and somebody else signed a contract extension and didn't get a full guarantee. But Lamar wants that full guarantee, which I'm assuming that all other GMs are just like, nah, we're not going to do that. Because
Yeah, I mean,
if you set that precedent with Lamar, every quarterback you sign after this needs a full guarantee, and if quarterbacks start getting it, then top wide receivers want it and top pass rushers want it, and then everyone gets a fully guaranteed contract, and guy gets injured and you're stuck paying him $20 million a year type of thing.
yeah, I mean, even Mahomes' contract is 141 million guaranteed over like $500 million. And that's Mahomes, who won a Super Bowl. All I know is this is that Cleveland might be the dumbest franchise of all time for that contract.
Well, Cleveland's the dumbest franchise of all time because they reportedly did their digging and then were blindsided by some of the allegations that came out afterwards. So
I don't know.
Chris, I don't know how many. I think you can only franchise a player now once or twice. I don't think they can keep franchising and franchising and franchising anymore.
Got you.
I think. Don't quote me on that.
All right, moving on to the next player. 2021 Panini 1, Trey Lance. This is a patch auto number out 30. The sold for $765 on August 30th. Now, last night, yesterday I was making some posts after the games, talking about different players, increasing, decreasing in price. I was considering, like, should I put Trey Lance into a post about, he did not play great as his first game as a start of this season, and he was super hyped coming into the season. His prices were eclipsing most other, rookie quarterbacks that have came out and everything. And in my mind, I was like, you know what? Should give Trey Lance, in a sense, a pass for the first game. That weather was horrific, and it does not look like a situation where I don't want to throw a football in. So we'll have to see, I think, kind of like a wait and see on from a Trey Lance perspective of if he's really going to be the guy, I guess, this season in San Francisco. They re-signed Jimmy Garoppolo on the most expensive backup quarterback deal. And you wouldn't do that if you didn't have at least probably second thoughts in your mind about maybe Trey Lance starting this entire season. Because with Jimmy Garoppolo, you're able to make the NFC championship game last season, I think, or at least, NFC championship game against the Rams. Now, Nate, I think you're muted. You might have something to say. But before you go, really quick, I just want to point out that it did have at least a small effect in the market as that same patch auto number at 30. So for 511 after the game, not as many people probably are jazzed up after just a poor performance, regardless of the weather.
Real quick thought here. What happens? Like, generally, I think we all probably are the same in that we assume that if there's 5 first-round quarterbacks, 1 or 2 of them are at least going to become good.
Yeah.
I'd
say 1 or 2.
What happens if they're all bad?
Oh, if they're all bad,
people are losing. What has any of them shown so far, especially in week 1? Zach Wilson's always injured and was absolutely atrocious last year. Mac Jones was decent, and obviously overreaction one game wasn't very good. Trevor Lawrence hasn't shown anything yet. Trey Lance, that was a pretty pitiful game, and he lost to Justin Fields and the Bears, who also Justin Fields. It's like, I mean, maybe this game was his coming out party, but I don't know.
No, I think there's a lot to be seen with these guys. I mean, the money being spent on it. We look up 2 years from now, or even maybe 6 months from now, and we're gonna say, "Wow, this shook out pretty poorly, maybe for a lot that bought these guys." Now, without having any skin in the game on any of these guys, it's kind of like we can say whatever we, kind of think, because it's not like that we would maybe end up losing money on like a Trey Lance. But I would do have to say, like, if people do suffer losses, so this isn't like like you lost money. It's just kind of like how it is. A lot of quarterbacks, the odds play out that not all of them can make it, in the NFL, and it happens.
Yeah. If every rookie quarterback became good, there wouldn't be any quarterback positions open.
Nope. And then we'd basically be sitting there like F1.
Yep.
2020 Prism Tua Tagovailoa Color Blast PSA 10. Now there are multiple sales of this thing before yesterday's game for like $5,000 to $6,000. Now I don't know what happened here. I don't know if this is because of how the Dolphins played. I know that he actually had like a pretty decent game, all things considered, with who his counterparts are, who were drafted in the same draft class of 2021. But this card, PSA 10, I looked, I made sure I zoomed in. So for $3,000 after the game last night. And that's half the value that sold at multiple times before that, as soon as a week ago. Now, that could just be a function of too many people wanting to grab a Tua Color Blast at one time, needing to get it before the season starts, and then, another one hits auction, all those buyers are satisfied, and boom, it sells for $3,000. That's like a 50% decrease in like a week. A steal? Possibly. Not enough people watching auctions last night, possibly, first NFL week, maybe had some people over or whatever. But pretty crazy to see, and I don't really know what to make of it right now until we see more cards sell. And this is coming from a player that had some huge card sales during the offseason and the preseason.
Yeah.
But that's not to say he played bad, because he won the game against the Patriots, and I don't think he threw a pick, and he had a pretty decent passer rating.
He did all of those things. Put
Yeah.
some respect on his name, bro.
Oh, I am. I'm not saying that he's bad. I mean, I feel like it'd be biased if we didn't pull in an Aaron Rodgers card into this stream. Aaron Rodgers, 2005 Topps black border rookie PSA 9, super hard card to grade. That black border definitely, I'm assuming, chips easily. $551 on August 26th for an auction on that card before yesterday's game. After yesterday's game, a $100 drop down to $460. Now, $100 here or there can be a function of a million different things. Who's watching auctions, like I said, a bunch of different stuff. But all I know is that yesterday's game probably didn't bring confidence to people who were like, oh, yeah, Aaron Rodgers, another MVP season, if that's why they're buying him. Or like, oh, wow, the Packers really have it figured out. So I would not be surprised by a $100 drop. But at the same time, remember, the Packers lost like 35-3 to the Saints week 1 of last season. And, without Devontae, Alan Lazard hurt. The defense clearly did not know what they're doing yesterday, but has a lot of talent. We'll see if they can figure it out. And maybe a good buy the dip for this person who bought this black Aaron Rodgers. Next up, we've got Joe Burrow here. So Joe Burrow, we had at the beginning with the graph, but didn't want to highlight one of his rare cards. I know someone said, oh, that's one of a million Prism variations. Well, here is his select Concourse Gold out of 10 PSA 9. So for $3,550 on March 22nd. Fast forward to today, and remember, that's pretty soon after the Super Bowl. Fast forward to yesterday, and the SGC 10 sold for $2,800. Now, yes, it's not the exact same card or grade, or not the exact same grade, it's the exact same card. But I gotta say, gold out of 10, people are looking to buy no matter really which grading company they support. For us, like, as we feel with SGC, and we're partners with SGC, and we've had exact and amazing experience. So much that I'm looking at tons of slabs over here from SGC in our 830 submission. But all I gotta say is that if he did have a massive game yesterday, there's probably no chance that this sells for $2,800. And I do think that is a big detractor for anyone that was selling Burrow last night. Nate's back. That's twice.
That was twice. Hey, real quick, from the bench says, I'll pull it up. Trevor Lawrence actually looked pretty good yesterday with multiple drop passes. And that is a thing that, like, they don't show me that on NFL Red Zone. They're showing me highlights from all over the place. They're not showing me random drops in the middle of the game from Trevor Lawrence. And
or a low light if it results in a defensive, good play or something.
Yeah.
So it could be like a low light for Trevor Lawrence.
Or when guys have interceptions and it ends up being a tip pass, a catchable ball tip pass that goes into the defender's hands and it goes off counts against the quarterback. One of those things where it is good to keep in mind that unless you actually watch the whole game, which most of us can't, or if you're watching on Red Zone, shout out Uzu TV, you're just not going to see those plays.
Josh says, when are you doing the 830 SGC submission reveal? Great question. The last slabs actually just came in the mail maybe an hour or two ago. An email will be sent out to everyone sometime within the next 2 hours after this stream, and notifying you about when the YouTube live reveal is going to be for all the SGC slabs. Here's like 1,600. So be excited. Get ready for that reveal. And then all of them are going to be shipped within 2 business days from now. So pretty exciting stuff, as are a ton of awesome cards. And more cards coming in for the 915 submission too, which ships out in 2 days or 3 days. But if you do want to get into the 930 SGC submission with us, be sure to go to slabstox.com/grading. $23 per card. Our last turnaround time for 1,600 cards was 4 business days from the time they received at SGC is shipped back to us. It should be an awesome time for everyone who wants to watch the reveal, including Josh. You guys still have hope for the Brewers based on how many games are back? Not super big hope.
I mean,
it's possible, but
it's possible, but Eric Lauer's injured. Freddie Peralta's injured. Aaron Ashby's injured. Devin Williams threw his 2 slowest fastballs of his career the last 2 games.
that's not good.
Yeah. So,
That's
it's not looking very good on the old Brewers even being healthy enough to try to pick up those last 2 games.
Seriously. Rob says, what's up, guys? Thanks again for the awesome giveaway. Yes, Rob, congrats. Last week on our YouTube Live, Rob was the winner of the SGC contest giveaway we did on our website, 10 free grades, and the Lewis Hamilton SGC 10 Tops Now, which Rob is going to give to his kids. So pretty exciting stuff, and I hope that your kid enjoys.
That's cool.
Patrick Mahomes was probably one of the top 2 quarterback performers of this week, 1 or 2. I guess maybe a lot of people probably said 1, actually. I think he had like 148 passer rating. 5 touchdowns and destroyed the Cardinals. What do you say?
I said he's definitely number 1.
Definitely number 1. I agree. I switched that as I was saying that. Definitely number 1. And his BGS 9.5 encased patch auto number at 20, or dual jersey auto at 25 sold for $3,600 on August 20th, but last night sold for $58.85. Or sorry, not 58, $35.85, and that was enough to pretty much maintain the price. Now, that's the difference when you think about prospects and surefire things, in a sense, if you want to speak about Mahomes like that, is that it takes a lot to make Mahomes' market go up right now, I'd say, or maybe it'll at least take a few weeks to where like some prospects got a 5 touchdown game and this guy is about to sell for like 10 times the price, which I think is pretty crazy. And also remember, Mahomes cards have pretty much been in the decline since the last year. And all has to do with expectations versus reality. People were expecting him to win MVP last year. They're expecting another Super Bowl. It didn't happen. His prices dropped. Now the expectations weren't as high because they're all in the Bills. And I feel like, Nate, this is almost not like an Aaron Judge situation exactly. But by the end of the season, you might look up and say, oh, Chiefs favorites to win the Super Bowl, Mahomes favorite to win the MVP. Then this thing's back up to $7,000 like it used to be.
Yeah. I it's one of those things where could you make more money with Davis Mills by spending the same amount? Yes. Is it way riskier?
Oh, for sure. Because you know the moment that Davis Mills has 3 bad games, that card's going to drop by 50%.
Yeah.
You know the moment that Mahomes has 3 bad games, a couple of people might cut bait.
But unlikely.
Right. And before we get to the very last slide of today's YouTube Live, I just want to point out that we do have a bunch of whatnot streams going on this week, all at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Tomorrow I'm running a 3-box team break, actually, for Champions League Soccer. That includes Topps Finest, Topps Stadium Club, and Topps Merlin Chrome, all from 2020, the loaded rookie class. It's the first time doing a team break in a while, so I hope that a lot of people are excited about that. And then on Wednesday, we have our What's Brewing. We're giving away 4 different hobby boxes from soccer to celebrate the Premier League season, which is now on pause because of the Queen dying. And then also we are going to be doing some market talk and looking ahead to the World Cup. And then Thursday, Nate's actually been doing something different here that he's done before. He's going to run some hit drafts. You're going to do some hit drafts for Topps Tier 1 Bundesliga, featuring some good rookie odds of Florian Wirtz. I know there's autographs of Lewandowski and Jude Bellingham potentially in there, so it should be a fun time on the Whatnot streams. Be sure to click the link in the description of this video if you want to create an account and join our streams this week for What's Brewing and the pack breaks. Now, to end the stream, I want to have a small discussion around what does this mean for the rest of the market. I know we just talked about football for 40 minutes, and some people are like, I don't watch football or I don't collect football, and we don't really buy and sell football at all either. But there is application you can take from this, and I don't think it's going to be as big of a deal applied to the other sports, because the other sports have really long seasons. It's not only 17 games, and every single week really affects the prices for pretty fast. But you could just see how volatile the prices were just after this weekend. Either good performance, bad performance. All we know is that those preseason prices were quite high for a lot of quarterbacks. And as you're thinking about the basketball season approaching in October, the hockey season approaching in October, baseball season is going to be coming to a close here with the playoffs coming. And then obviously you've got F1 that's going to be coming to a close end of November, and then soccer, which kind of lasts for the full years now. But my point here is as those seasons approach, you do want to physically be thinking about, when should I be selling? Because I think that people, I know we're in like year 3, Nate, since maybe like the market's kind of exploded and people are learning a lot now, a lot more than they knew back then. You still kind of get the sense that people weren't super aware of this whole football market dynamic for the season starting. Some of these prices we were seeing were just so high that there's really only one place to go after that unless the player has an all-time season. And I would just make sure that you all make a plan. Suggest you all make a plan for your cards you have of maybe any of these sports on the screen as the seasons approach or closing down. Because you should know with baseball, you don't sell the baseball cards right now unless someone has an amazing postseason.
You're holding
They're
them
really
up.
only going to go one place until spring training next year. Where's that, Nate?
Into my safe. I buy them all for cheap.
Right. Normally baseball prices trend down, at least through until December. We've seen a little bit earlier buying sprees happen than before the last couple years. Before it always would take until like end of February, but now it's kind of like beginning of January into the middle of February that buying starts. And then as for hockey, I don't have enough experience in the hockey card market. We do have some hockey cards this year, planning to sell at the preseason. I've watched it for the last couple of years, but definitely see, prices go up at preseason. So with Elias Peterson last year, Jack Hughes last year, and then prices drop after that. And then with basketball, that has kind of played out the last couple of years too, unless a player has an amazing start to the season. John Morant this past season, a lot of their stuff does start to trend down as well. So just things to keep in mind as you are coming into the upcoming seasons and the closing of baseball and everything, closing of F1, is that you kind of need to capitalize when you can, or at least if you're not holding stuff long term, think about when to sell. Nate, any thoughts on different seasons approaching, different seasons closing, and maybe what your mindset would be?
I mean, for me, it's definitely if I've got baseball cards I'm not attached to, like I've got a couple Dylan Cease lying around that I didn't send in to get graded, and he's been doing really well. Yeah, I'll be looking to unload those before the off season because he's gonna potentially win a Cy Young. And I don't want to miss the boat on that and hold it till next year because that'd be foolish. So like that type of stuff, I'm definitely looking to move. Other guys, if I had some prospects that are still in the minors, yeah, I'm holding those and seeing what happens next year as the momentum builds for the majors and minors and spring training and stuff. Other sports, though, I mean, I'm not going to talk about soccer because I don't know enough. I'm not going to talk about hockey or F1, but for basketball specifically, once football has, I feel like once football has started and is, the hype is gone because now we're just week to week, then people turn to basketball because that starts middle of October, maybe second to last week of October. And so we're in September right now. Regular season is right around the corner. And I do think it's probably a good time to be like, hey, what should I do with my basketball cards? And for me, I'm probably, if I had them, I'd probably be looking to, if they're up, make money, don't take on any of that risk of a player having to perform well.
Yeah, and I think that's the most important part too, is you kind of do have to see what's happening to make a decision. But like I think a lot of the football cards I very much so would have had sold before the season for guys that increase 30, 40, 50%. There's too much risk, going into that season.
Yeah.
Chris, be honest. If you caught Albert Pujols' 700th home run or Judge's 62nd home run ball, would you keep it or give it back to the player? And Bazooka Tom said, sad to admit, I'd probably keep it. All I got to say is this. After seeing what Tom Brady bartered with the person to get his football back, these guys have got so much memorabilia. I would trade it for something. I get him the ball. I wouldn't keep the ball, but like, all right, they got to trade me something.
Yeah, I'd trade it. If I caught Pool's 700th home run ball, I know he just made like $30 million a year after year after year. So Albert, look, amazing, but this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I would also like a couple $1 million to set myself up for life.
I would request 30% of your contract for the last 3 years. But for real, I mean, I think that's only right. I mean, people pay to get in the seats. You put yourself in the position, get the historic thing, trade it back. That's what, I mean, I wouldn't need to keep it, but I definitely would.
Like, if it's like a first home run ball, then yeah, definitely give that back to the guy. And if you get a signed baseball out of it or something, sweet. But man, a 700th home run, that would be so expensive.
Definitely. Bazooka Thompson 700, I'd probably trade back. Bazooka Thompson 62nd, I'd probably keep. Well, if anyone else has any questions for us, we've got a few minutes left. Any questions pertaining to the sports card market, sports in general, anything at all, feel free to drop in the comments and we'll hang out for a couple of minutes here to see if anyone does have any questions. As is, kind of, a little free time right now. And Rob says, "Hey Nate, give us a prospect you think would be a great pickup."
Oh, let me go to my notes and see if I have anything written down. I'm very bad off the top of my head. Uh Man, there are some choices. Should have put more in my notes than I don't know. Personally, for me, this winter, I'm going to be looking into getting some Jacob uh, Misarowski cards. He's going to be in draft, presumably. He's a Brewers prospect, obviously. And he was one of the top pitching prospects in the draft, and the Brewers have been really good. Outside of that, there's like a number of guys that I'm hoping get cards in 2022 Bowman Chrome that I might have names for, but I don't really have any names off the top of my head that I can give you.
Shin Ari, this one's very hard to pronounce. Me, apologies. Joseph asked, "Do you offer cleaning and evaluation prior to SGC submission?" And then they said, "I second this." We do not. We don't offer evaluation on cards, to tell you what we think that they'll grade or recommend if you should grade them or not. Our service solely is for us to, put together a bulk submission, get the cards from you to us to SGC, get you a massive price break, and provide amazing customer service along the way. SGC's price on our website is $30 per card. Ours is $23 per card on our website, SlabStox.com/grading. 4 business days was the last turnaround time for 1,600 cards. Based on the volume of cards we get in, and just from the pure, like, what it is standpoint, I think it's an extremely valuable trait to know how to grade cards as an individual. Like, the way that I learned a lot about grading cards, looking at the cards, seeing what they think they might grade, is straight through trial and error. And I think for someone who might be yourself, if you're looking to submit, I highly recommend taking a couple cards, looking them over, writing down notes, taking pictures of what you see and why you think it might grade a certain way, sending it in, getting the card back, and comparing it to your notes and seeing what they grade at and what you got. I think the best way to learn is to trial and error. And I think once you get to that point, it's just kind of like clockwork at that point. And it's a great skill to have. So I would highly recommend, submitting cards, test or grading, great price, great turnaround time, great customer service. As a lot of people I think have experienced. I've gotten some great feedback, and then you'll learn a lot yourself too. And I think it's a very valuable skill to have. Will says, "Nate, are you a buyer for Michael Harris? Seems super legit. I may in off season, but prices are pretty huge considering his contract extension."
So personal preference time here. For me, I don't like buying guys after they've exploded. I think the thrill for me in sports card investing isn't like, say, pure dollars and cents, more along the lines of like finding a guy that I think can blow up and buying into him. Michael Harris has already blown up, so I wouldn't do that. But like Dylan Cease last year, I actually bought a couple of his cards being like, hey, I think he might be able to win a Cy Young. And lo and behold, we're at this point this year, and he has been really good. And so that's really what I enjoy doing. So like, if you're already up in the majors and having a good year, I probably am not going to like buy you. So for me, Michael Harris would be a no.
Got you. Chris had a question a little earlier on top 3 under the radar pickups for Qatar, the World Cup. That is a great question. I don't feel like I'm in a position necessarily to recommend 3 under the radar pickups. From at least a couple things that we have. I bought a Ron Weston McKennie card at the National for a good value. I felt got it graded, it got a nice grade, but I will be looking to sell that pretty much right around before the World Cup. Don't want to, pick that up to try to flip it during the World Cup necessarily, but want to sell it before. And I would just, I guess, recommend to, if you are looking for some under the radar, pickups, definitely start watching some of the club matches as the rest of the season goes here before the World Cup hits. There is an international break for soccer before that too, so there's not too many more matches before the World Cup that's coming in November. But I would recommend this. If you are looking to hear some under the radar Qatar pickups, I would highly recommend watching on, it was just posted on Saturday, our guy Andrew from St. Croix Cards is running a Road to the World Cup series here on our YouTube channel and our podcast network. And he's doing one episode every single Saturday leading up to the World Cup, talking about every single group in the World Cup, the different players for each team, why they're effective, why they're not effective, what clubs they play for, why you might want to look into them, why you might not want to look into them. It's a great series that will do you a way better service than me sitting here and just throwing 3 names out that I've been looking at, or, like Pedri. Like, I'm excited about Pedri just because I think he's awesome. Plays for Barcelona in Spain. But, not necessarily under the radar. Andrew's the guy that you're going to want to watch for that. We got another comment here. Jimmy says about the World Cup. Do you think the soccer market will become oversaturated with everyone unloading their cards for the World Cup? 100%. If you listen to our market report from last week that we put out with Card Talk on the 1:37 p.m. YouTube channel, or read the article on 1:37 p.m. blog, we do a market report every single month that just dropped last week. And we actually interviewed, funny enough, Andrew from St. Croix Cards for that, and we spoke about that quite extensively. A lot of people are going to be selling, as a lot of people peg that as the time to sell their soccer cards if they're not a soccer fan, and they're going to want to get that money out regardless if the cards are increasing or decreasing in price. And too much supply in the market will lead to oversaturation, and I believe that the prices will dip on quite a few things. And Adam says, such a great feeling when your grades actually match your predicted grade, or when your actual grades match your predicted grades. Just be realistic. It is a great feeling. And Jason Dominguez has been playing well lately. Is that what you see, Nate?
Yeah, a home run from both sides of the plate the other day in the same game.
Wow, that's crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Well, we have hit 6 p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We hope you all have a fantastic rest of your night, and we thank you all for coming to this SlabStox YouTube live show. Make sure to come back next week, Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time for our 100th SlabStox YouTube live. That's crazy. I mean, that's a lot of weeks. That's over 2 years. We've pretty much done it every single Monday or on Tuesday for a holiday for the last 2 years over that. And it's just been a great time with everyone here, and we appreciate you all coming once again. And be sure to come to Sunday's YouTube live on the Flip Quest on PWCC, as we will be giving away a $300 card. So we hope to see you all there. And Nate, anything else?
That's it for me. Everyone have a good night.
See you, everyone.